Now, your forecast first from KARK4, your weather authority.
If you didn't know after this morning, welcome to winter. Very cold temperatures across Arkansas today after a little bit of wintry precipitation to start your Thursday. And with skies becoming mostly clear tonight, with the Arctic high pressure moving overhead, we are going to see those temperatures plunging like a rock as we head through the overnight hours, dropping to the teens to around 20 degrees in northern Arkansas and low to mid-20s central and south. A lot of places could see record or near record cold to start your Friday. Here in Little Rock, partly cloudy to mostly clear overnight tonight, 31 degrees at 7 o'clock. We're going to start your Friday mostly sunny, but 24. KARK4 News at 6 starts now.
Now, from the station you count on for local news that matters, this is KARK4 News at 6.
It had been shot, cleaned, and gutted here.
A rancher discovers some of his livestock slaughtered right on his own property, the meat carried away. Thank you for joining us tonight, everybody. I'm Bob Clausen. Authorities think it was intentional. KARK4's Josh Berry joining us now with more on what leads are coming in and perhaps why this happened. Hey, Josh.
Yeah, hey, Bob. Even if whoever did this initially mistook the animal for a deer, which could be possible, I guess, they still trespassed on the property, shot the animal, and would have eventually realized it was a sheep. Now, we want to warn you, the image of what was left behind is graphic. It's clear they had the tools necessary to get away with quite a bit of meat.
Shot, cleaned, and gutted. Ranch owner James Bircher says someone killed one of his best sheep. This pasture in Pulaski County is stained red where Bircher found it Wednesday morning.
Someone shot it in the woods, waited, no one was here, and they came and cleaned it. Very sad thing.
His barbed wired fence had been cut and pulled back.
I suspect that that's how they came in.
And it seems it wasn't a mistake. Bircher called the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. According to their report, the cuts were clean and straight. The backstrap, chops, loins, and rear quarters had all been removed.
Violated, I guess, would be the term. Very upset, quite angry at him.
Bircher says the sheep was valued at $400. It was pregnant, likely with twins, and whoever killed it probably got away with 40 pounds of meat.
This was an intentional act. You know, this was something somebody planned on doing, is what it appears to be.
According to Lieutenant Carl Minden, the charge would be criminal mischief.
They trespassed on this gentleman's land. They butchered his livestock, took it, and then basically left it a mess.
What's just as frustrating, this retired criminal justice educator knows justice will likely never be served for the cruel act committed.
Hopefully it just won't happen again. Or if it does, hopefully I can catch him on camera.
Bircher says he's had to lock up his 8 other sheep and does have those security cameras that happened to be down at the time back up and running. Now, they still do hope that if someone happens to know anything about this, they let the authorities know. Bob, back to you.
All right, Josh, thanks very much. If you're an AT&T customer and you're asking, can you hear me now? Today you get your answer. According to the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office, Forrest Collier was arrested on charges of stealing copper wire from 4 AT&T phone line sites and 1 cell tower. Naturally, doing some damage to service. The damage caused totaling more than $100,000. AT&T reps say they see this kind of thing when the price of copper goes up and the thieves just don't realize how many people they're actually affecting.
And now to a KARK4 News update. A woman remains in critical condition after her home exploded. This happened in the town of Osceola in Mississippi County on Wednesday morning. That woman, Debbie Porter, was med-flighted to the hospital in Memphis with burns to the upper part of her body. The blast, meanwhile, destroying her home, but it also blew out glass and sheetrock in surrounding homes. No other injuries have been reported.
Governor Beebe's time in office might be winding down, but he is hard at work, warning the state legislature that cuts are coming to state agencies if proposed tax cuts go through as planned next summer. The term-limited Democrat presenting his final budget to lawmakers at the state capitol. And that is where we find KARK4's David Goins with more on why Mr. Beebe is urging caution. David.
Well, in part, Bob, it's because the state will need more money for Medicaid over the next couple of years. He talked about that with us yesterday. So today he essentially presented 2 different budgets, 2 different what-ifs for the legislature next year to consider. Now, one includes delaying over $25 million in tax cuts. The other would essentially leave those tax cuts in place that lawmakers passed during the 2013 session. Now, if those tax cuts did stay, as we mentioned, it would mean a 1% cut to all state agencies. That would include prisons and higher education starting in July of 2015. And the outgoing budget director says that's before tax cuts that's been pushed by Governor-elect Asa Hutchinson would be considered.
I doubt that anybody wants to shut down prison units, but you could shut down some prison units, or you could drastically eliminate the things that are provided to the prisons.
Now, Richard Weiss, who is leaving with Governor Mike Beebe when the administration ends, added that no one is actually advocating that route at this point. But his point being in that exchange was that the legislature really has few other areas they could cut if there are more tax cuts approved next spring. The only flexibility in the budget is really prisons and higher education. Primarily, that's because K through 12 education, as we talked about, Bob, really off limits, and the funding for K through 12 is increasing. So plenty to consider before the session starts in January. For now, we're live outside the state capitol. David Goins, KARK 4 News.
All right, David, sticking with this, Governor-elect Asa Hutchinson reacting to Mr. Beebe's budget proposal this afternoon, saying that he is working on a 1% income tax cut rate for middle-income Arkansans without cutting essential services.
I'm fully committed to funding education, funding our essential services of this state, and I have no doubt that we can do that consistent with having the middle-class tax cuts that I campaigned on. And now how we arrive at that, that's what I've got to focus on between now and then.
Mr. Hutchinson says he's also created a website to keep up with his transition to governor. We've got a link for you right now at ArkansasMatters.com.
William H. Bowen, a man whose name adorns a Central Arkansas law school, leaving a legacy of military and public service, passed away overnight at the age of 91. William Harvey Bowen was born on May 6, 1923 in Altimer, a farm town of 450 people in Jefferson County. He rose from those humble beginnings to become a businessman and eventually a lawyer. He also has a background in military. And when then Governor Clinton decided to run for president in 1991, he asked Bowen to be his campaign chief of staff. Later, Bowen returned to law, eventually becoming dean of the University of Arkansas Little Rock Law School, which now bears his name. Vicious dog attacks are sparking more debate over pit bull bans. One side argues that cities should block the breed in the name of public safety.
The other side telling KARK4's Brittany Johnson it's not the breed, it's the deed. In tonight's special report, advocates explain why they're fighting to restore the reputation. Brittany.
Lucky, come on. For the past 2 years of his life, Lucky has been anything but.
His name is definitely a misnomer. He is about the unluckiest dog I've ever known in my life.
Intruders assaulted him and killed his owner, forcing Lucky into a shelter, but the shelter's director feared his time was running out.
She was very concerned that she was going to have to put him down, and she saw something in Lucky. She saw that he was a fighter in a good way, that he wanted to live and that he wanted a new life, and she saw a spark.
So she called on Jennifer Moorhead of Gentle Souls Rescue of Central Arkansas to find Lucky a home. That was a year ago. According to Moorhead, the wait is 3 to 4 times longer than the average adoption. One of the problems with pit bulls.
Pit bulls are one of the most common breeds, and they're certainly one of the most overbred breeds of dogs, and so you have everything really sort of bottleneck into these shelters, and the shelters cannot let them out within the city, and so you're seeing a lot of euthanasia take place.
Moorhead made it her mission 9 years ago to foster and fight for the dogs at the center of breed-specific legislation, or BSL. Bad breeders targeted the box-faced breed, now blamed for vicious and sometimes deadly attacks, including the recent mauling deaths of a 5-year-old in Garland County and a 75-year-old in Hot Springs. Victims' families and city leaders from Pine Bluff to Sherwood and other Arkansas towns ban pit bulls within city limits to protect the public.
From my work with hundreds of pit bulls, it's unwarranted. Hey, sit.
Trainer Charlotte Mallion argues BSL can have the opposite effect.
People that live in cities that have breed-specific legislation will get that dog anyway. Then they will hide that dog.
The Sherwood Humane Animal Shelter summons Mallion to examine dogs' behaviors before they leave for a new home.
Watch.
She tests for obedience.
Wait.
Aggression.
That can be fixed.
Fears.
Now I'm going to do the hug test. It's sort of a, and now she's losing interest. misinformation on both ends of the scale. They think certain breeds are great naturally and pit bulls are bad naturally. It's just not true. It's breeding and it's environment and it's how they were raised. It's the people.
As the debate over pit bull bans continues, states across the country are trending in another direction. 18 states now banned the bans. Even the White House released a statement calling breed-specific legislation a bad idea.
If more cities and counties don't take that approach, unfortunately, we're going to continue to see the rise of euthanasia because backyard breeders are not stopping.
The type of legislation Moorhead says would make it easier to single out bad owners.
Lucky.
And find homes for dogs like Lucky.
And data from the CDC actually indicates the majority of deadly dog bites are from pit bull attacks, but that number of total dog bites is just so small that it can't dictate public policy.
For more on local resources, you can go to our website. We've got a lot there for you, arkansasmatters.com.
Well, as an icy blast of cold weather sweeps across the Mid-South, some families are testing their furnaces right now for the first time and finding out the hard way that one very important device isn't working.
On 23rd Street, theirs was active, and they had it up in the right place, and it went off, so it saved the family's life.
Still to come, the device that saved the life of a Central Arkansas family.
And last night's slight snow may have played a part in numerous accidents across Central Arkansas. Reports of wrecks on 440, 430, 630, 40, 67, 167. This accident on 630 backed up traffic for over an hour. It was a rough morning for a lot of folks getting into work. In Little Rock today, we started our day at 29 degrees. Our afternoon high, only 41. We'll let you know what to expect for the rest of the work week and your weekend in just a couple minutes.
From the station that brings you local news that matters, this is KARK 4 News at 6 in high definition. With Bob Clausen, Ashley Katz, Chief Meteorologist Keith Monahan, and Aaron Peters with your Razorback Nation report.